Good morning and good afternoon to those of you across the pond, and welcome to Radicle Loyalty's AI hacks for loyalty. Before I introduce everybody, feel free to use the chat function to say hello, to tell us where you're from. I love seeing everybody who is here, and this is how we all know where you are. This is going to be a really fun and interactive webinar. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, there's a QR code. We're going to have a couple of live polls, so please take the time to use your device and snap the QR code that will lead you to the polls that we have coming up. That's really just to help us participate and get to know who you are. That way we can help tailor our conversation about what interests you. In terms of housekeeping, please, like I said, use the chat function to ask questions. We're going to monitor them, at least I will, and make sure that we save all the questions for our panelists in the end. I promise we will have time. So now, before we get started with the actual topic, let's meet our amazing esteemed panel. We'll start with Limor is doing her little dance. We'll start with Fartash Haghani, who was up until very recently with Canadian Tire, but now he can tell us his exciting new move.
Thank you, Leah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fartash. I have been the former AVP of Applied AI and Data Product in Canadian Tire, which in past 5 years responsible to run the second largest loyalty program in Canada. We have designed multiple ML framework and the software architecture to be able to design the scalable platform to utilize different ML models to create an engaging program for more than 30 million customers across Canada. And as Leah said, recently I moved to City of Toronto to be able to find out how we can use and utilize data to make life better for Torontonians.
And I'm so excited to have Fartash here. So Fartash and I met last month, interestingly enough, at George Brown College, where he was doing a session really peeling back the curtain about how Canadian Tire uses AI and personalization. So I'm so thrilled to have his expertise shared with us.
I'm very happy being here.
And next we have Sian Larsen joining us from all the way in Europe. And if you haven't met Sian, you've been missing out. She is a wealth of knowledge.
Hi, everyone. It is absolutely great to be here. A little bit of context on me. I currently work at the UK Post Office. And a little bit of context for those of you who aren't UK based. Postmasters and post offices have been in the heart of UK communities, no matter how central or remote, for over 360 years, offering essential goods and services such as logistics, letters and parcels, banking services, government services, and retail and convenience. I joined Post Office 5 years ago and have been fortunate enough to work in a variety of marketing, sales and communications roles. But I currently work as a senior customer rewards manager, leading the customer reward incentive and promotion strategy for the business. Lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Sian. And I met Sian for the first time in person in Amsterdam, where she was moderating the Women in Loyalty panel, which was super impressive. And last but not least, Limor and I have known each other for more than 20 years. We're not going to say that out loud, but Limor is an amazingly impressive woman. After a long career in corporate, she became a self-starting entrepreneur, a self-made millionaire in her 30s. And this is her now second business. And I'm so impressed by the speaker that she is, the businesswoman that she is, and the leader that she is.
Thank you, Leah. That's really, really kind of you. And I'm so honored to be here. So as Leah said, I spent more than a decade in the banking world where Leah and I first connected, and then decided to escape the 9 to 5, which we all know is much longer than that, to become an entrepreneur. And, I loved what I was doing. And I'll share with you all, just over a year ago, I had a 1.5-year-old and I was 7 months pregnant. And my husband said to me, Limor, you should try this new thing called AI. I'm like, what's AI? But I will let you know, I dived right in. And what was really amazing is that in a very short period of time, using AI in a multitude of different fashions, I was able to, despite what was happening in my life and having less time than ever before, have an absolutely massive revenue spike. And I was like, whoa, this AI thing is cool. I got to get all over it. So we launched Absolute Ascent, which is an AI consultancy, and we focus on supporting both entrepreneurs and medium to large businesses to integrate AI into all aspects of their business. We've got a large development team. We've got a platform with over 200 tools, and we are supporting the AI integration for all those who are saying, what is this thing? I want to include it, but I don't know where to start. So I'm so pumped to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have all of you here, and let's dive into why we're here today. The topic is AI hacks for loyalty. And can you turn anywhere really without hearing AI, machine learning, generative AI, ChatGPT? I don't think you can read any social media, any newspaper, any media whatsoever without hearing that word. And the proliferation of tools is just so dramatic. But the question is are we doing the right things, and are we doing them in the right way? Because if we fall in love with the technology without understanding the strategy and what we're trying to achieve from a KPI perspective, we're just chasing the next hottest thing. And so that's why I wanted to bring everybody together and really talk about how those tools can be made subservient to what it is that we're trying to do, and how it can apply to loyalty and driving customer engagement. Now, let's dive right in to our very first poll. We're going to start with a question for everybody, and it's a word. So for those of you that scan the QR code, you can direct it here, or you can go to slido.com and use the code 6695431. So you can type in any words. What role does AI play in loyalty and loyalty programs? I see automation. Anyone else? I'm going to do the poll myself as well while we're here. Anybody else? Don't be shy. I have personalization. Anybody else? Analytics, advisor. Good ones. I see 2 participants typing. More personalization, customer experience, time, automation. Yep, for sure. Optimization, analytics. Awesome. That's really great. Amazing. Okay, perfect. There's more typing. One-to-one marketing. Yeah. 6695431. That is definitely comparison, analytics, one up on ML. Yeah, of course. Good. Amazing. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is, how frequently do you use AI for your business? All the time, several times a week, a few times a month, or hardly ever? Or irregularly? All the time. Amazing. Several times a week. Several times a week. All the time, a few times a month. Okay, so we have some fairly good experience. That's great. Great. That really helps us tailor our answers. So I'm going to stop sharing for the moment and talk to our lovely panelists. So Limor, now that we know how much people are using AI and what they're using it for, perhaps we can chat about what are the different types of AI and how are they all unique?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I think when it comes to anything related AI, the terminology is all really confusing and we all use them very much interchangeably. So great question to start us off, just to kind of set the land and ensure we're all really on the same page. So there's really three main elements of terminology that people are using that we need to think of. And I'm going to give you an analogy that's going to really take away all of the confusion and make it straightforward for you. So the first one is AI, artificial intelligence. And that term actually means the entire field of artificial intelligence in machines learning. It's really the ability that machines have learned to do human tasks, things like reasoning and problem solving and language. And that's really like the big picture of it all. So how I would encourage you to think about it is that in the sphere of a kitchen, something we all know and understand and use multiple times a day, AI would be the entire kitchen. So it's the counters, it's the tools, it's the appliances, it's the food, it's the sinks, it's everything soup to nuts in that world is what is called AI. Then the next level down is ML, which you'll often hear called machine learning. And that's really a subset focus of AI. And it's more of like an algorithm, and it's a series of developments that are ongoing, improving all the time. And that's things like recommendations or perhaps images or analysis. And the closest thing I could compare that to is it's kind of like a recipe book. So you've got this recipe book, it's got a plan, you've got somewhere to go and steps to take, but the first time you use it, you kind of follow it to the T, but next time you make an enhancement or a small tweak. So machine learning is like the recipe book or the steps that we're taking. Then the next one, which we are using most frequently and are commonly referred to as generative AI or Gen AI, kind of for short and for slang. And that is the next subset of machine learning. And that is focused on generating and creating new content. So it's really focused on natural language. It's why if you ever logged into ChatGPT or any of the other equivalent programs, you really feel like, oh, we're speaking the same language here. And that's the equivalent of having like a master chef in your kitchen. So someone who has the knowledge and the expertise, but then is creating new things. You want a special fancy birthday cake that's, of a specific character or a recipe for a certain type of taste. It's really providing all of the inputs and then it's creating something that is brand new. So it's okay if you're using the words interchangeably, but I think the majority of what we're really focused on right now is the generative AI component. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity about the jargon of this industry.
For sure. And if any of you have seen me cook, you would know that I actually need the master chef to help me. And the same thing with art. I was just not artistically inclined, which is why my friend ChatGPT helps me with my images or
That's
all of
awesome.
my content for LinkedIn. I'm going to share my screen one more time because we're going to do our last poll of today. And that is going to be what role does AI, we talked about that one, and what's the first word that comes to mind when you think of AI? What's the first word? Images, magic, computer, cheating, innovation, humanization. Interesting, humanization. Okay. Innovation. Speaking of cheating, My husband is a prof, and use of AI in academia is always a really fun one. Copilot, yeah. Creativity, love it. Future, great. Possibilities, improvements, yeah. The Terminator, yeah. Did you know that the Terminator actually came from 2045, which is not that long from now? Automation, amazing. Robots, sounds good. Okay, amazing. I'm going to stop sharing. And we'll talk about, we'll get the expert opinion. And what's the role of AI in loyalty, and what are the possible ways of using AI, ML, and generative AI to drive loyalty, Sian?
So loyalty and loyalty programs are becoming more and more ubiquitous. There are more programs out there from more brands than ever before. And this is giving us as brands the need to work harder or smarter to really cut through that noise and really stand out. And I think this is really where AI can help. I think we're all aware that the landscape of loyalty is very much changing. It's not about points and about discounts anymore. It's about recognizing that customers are people with thoughts and feelings, and that creating a meaningful and personalized experience that makes customers feel valued and feel appreciated is really important. And I saw a post from Adam Posner on LinkedIn earlier, really talking about joyalty.
Yeah.
And I think that this is where AI can really enable us and really help us by allowing us to gain probably what would insight into our customers, into their behavior, into their preference, purchasing habits, which is a hyper personalized experience. And I'm really glad that the big P word came up in that poll and was as big as it was, because allowing us to present customers with targeted rewards and personalized offers is going to be instrumental in creating that sort of emotional connection with the brand. I also think as we move into this really digital world, to be able to build a seamless omni-channel experience is more important than ever. And the last point that's really coming up more and more is about preventing loyalty fraud. And we can use AI to, first of all, gather the data to help spot it, but also machine learning to make it more intelligent and really prevent that from happening, which is good for everyone, right? So I think all of this really creates an enhanced experience for customers. It's better engagement. It inspires satisfaction and longer-term loyalty. So it's just really arming us with a lot more than we've ever had and helping us to iterate to improve.
And Sian, is personalization getting my name right in an email and showing me my points balance?
No, that's a hygiene factor these days, right? It's about, I saw last week that you bought a coffee machine, so I'm gonna send you offers for different types of coffee, maybe even a tasting pack that's going to bring you back. I'm having a fight with Nespresso at the moment. I've been a Nespresso customer for years. I love my Nespresso machine. They've spent the last year trying to upsell me onto the new machine, which I don't want to do. And now they're trying to get me to buy loads and loads of pods to get the same machine I already have. They know what machine I have.
They do. And I really love the word phygital, which is the combination of physical and digital. You've used that before, and I personally love it. You will notice that in the top left-hand corner, the QR code had changed. It's no longer for polls. It's for the AI Hacks Guide. That is your free takeaway from today's session. Is a big thank you for visiting. Feel free to check it out either now or after the webinar. But now I'm going to turn my question over to Fartash. As I mentioned, he was instrumental in explaining exactly how he uses AI and ML for Canadian Tire, or he did in his old role. So can you tell us, Fartash, about how you do utilize AI, ML, and generative AI at Canadian Tire for personalization?
For sure. Before I go to the AI and ML part, I'm going to focus on the utilization. One of the important topics we are not talking lots about them is that productionization process. Let's assume you have this amazing model. How are you going to serve it to the customers? How are you going to iteratively improve it? How you can develop new feature for it? How that automation process will happen to run it every week and recommend the customers with the offers they have to receive. How do you know they have purchased the coffee machine recently, and based on that recommending the pods or new equipment which they can use? So that is a very important. The DevOps and MLOps are super important topic if we want to utilize an ML model we have to focus on in our organization. The next thing is finding the right ML algorithm for the problem we are focusing on. Identify that problem, and the good thing, generative AI can help that. If you talk and chat with ChatGPT and explain the problem you're focusing on, it can recommend you what kind of ML algorithm you can use. For example, if you want to segment your customers, if you want to understand a customer has a kid, or there are empty nesters, all of those characteristics we are not going to use generative ML for that. They have classification algorithms. We're going to use different set of features to be able to identify that. If you're trying to solve a cold start problem for the recommendation, when the customer just join our program and we don't have much information about them, we find out reinforcement learning can be very useful to be able to identify those problems and target the customers with those offers. And one of the things I have seen in the pool, creativity. My perspective on generative AI is can be used to scale up our creativity. That is what is missing. That is what is missing in the personalization. We target cohort of customers with the specific offers and with the same image, with the same text. What we can do with Gen AI is scale that up and actually reach out to every customers. It's a little bit probably later, but with a very personalized message to every customers. So that's what moving forward Canadian Tire going to focus on. We have done few POC on how we can create the copy and image for every specific offers based on customers' need. We know who interested to buy a gas barbecue or a charcoal barbecue, and we can change the image based on that. But that's going to be something my team hopefully going to take it away and bring it to production.
You can't control it anymore, what they're going to do.
That's right. That's right.
But it's so great that you're using modeling for a particular reason and you have use cases that you've thought about, rather than what I'm hearing a lot is we should use AI and ML and ChatGPT for what? What is it that you're trying to achieve? What is it that you're trying to do? What business problem are you trying to address?
Exactly.
And that's a good place to start. And then the tools are there to serve you. They're at the end, not the beginning.
That's absolutely correct.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely correct. That's very important. Find out what is your problem is first, and then try to solve it. Unfortunately, now we are focusing Gen AI for everything. It's just that glue can connect different components to each other.
And Limor, my next question is for you. So we know that there are lots of AI tools in the market, and they all tend to do the same thing. They improve efficiency and they improve output. But how do we make sure that we're doing the right thing and approach them in the best way possible, I guess?
So you're absolutely right, Leah. There are more tools being brought onto the marketplace every single day than we know what to do with. And the greatest challenge or thing that we need to consider as individuals using the tools, because we are, of course, the orchestrators, is what are we actually trying to accomplish and what are we trying to identify? So in the same way that Fartash was saying, like, we're using AI for the purpose of solving business problems. Knowing where you're going, knowing what your desired output is going to ensure that you're not wasting your time. And just because it creates something new, exciting, shiny, caricature, whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that it's actually improving anything or getting you closer to a better customer experience, or as Sian said, ensuring that there is more creativity and a more personalized experience. So when it comes to all of these tools, and Lee, I've heard you say this many a time, is that garbage in, garbage out. If you're just using it for the sake of using it, if you're, getting something cute or gimmicky out on the output, it's not actually going to support you moving forward. So, for us at Absolute Ascent, what we're really focusing on is partially on the tools, but also partially, and more importantly, I would say even on the skills of this tool for you to now be the one who's guiding the process. And I think a lot of people with AI think, oh, AI's here, it's easy. It's going to write my essays when I'm in school. It's going to write my emails when I'm at work. I could just, put my feet up and have a longer lunch because I didn't have to think about it myself. In actuality, I'm going to challenge you and say that your input, even if a time duration feels smaller, is more important and more significant than anything else that you're going to get from the output of it. So, I think focusing on that skill and recognizing where that's going is really, really important. I talk often a lot with when we're training about AI on the depth of vision. And if you're not familiar with that terminology, depth of vision really refers to like how far down the road can you actually see or envision. So a very simple example is, you're looking at a tree and you say, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And you're like, oh, wood. That's not a lot of depth of vision. If you take a look at the tree and you say, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, it's a house. Okay, so that's a use case of what I can do with it. When you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, what could be further? All right, I see a village and all the further use cases. So when it comes to loyalty, ensuring that we're not using all of these tools to say, ooh, what new category of gifts can we give away with the points that we hadn't yet considered? ChatGPT, please tell me. But rather, like Sian alluded to, how can we better acknowledge our customers? How can we give them even greater experience? And so, on the training of AI, one of the things that we encourage people to do under our umbrella of AI for work is input their role into AI and start to ask AI for ideas of depth of vision. And what's the future of my role? What's the future of the industry? And actually even having AI teach you the steps, because it's that many steps ahead of you. So, don't think because AI is here, you can go on vacation. Quite the opposite. We want to make sure that you're really working on yourself and your mind, because you are the orchestrator.
Amazing. I really love the notion of the depth of vision. That really brings home the whole aspect of what is it that you're trying to do and how big is truly big. And the bigger, I guess, the better, the richer the information that you're going to get. And to paraphrase our Cheshire cat, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And so I've heard of examples of people asking ChatGPT questions and getting a whole bunch of nonsense. That's because you as an input person had no idea where you wanted to take it. And so garbage in, garbage out. A fool with a tool is still a fool, right? Fartash, we have so many tools we talked about that we can potentially use. How do you make sure that you select the best tools and ML models for the job? And what's the role of measurement and continuous optimization to improve the model's performance?
Besides having lots of amazing tools, we have lots of amazing new ML models which release every day. Facebook, Google, Hugging Face, they are just releasing these new tools and ML models which we can utilize it in the loyalty domain. One of the important things we have done in Canadian Tire in the earliest stage, we designed this macro ML framework, which make us able to test, implement, and scale different type of ML models in a very short span of time. That sets the infrastructure for us to be able to fail fast. When we had that, we thought, okay, now what we're going to do about the measurement? Now we have these amazing ML models, which one performing better than the other? So we designed this ABCD testing framework. We can select any specific cohort of customers, and based on those new treatment, we will test this new algorithm or this new approach for the 50% of the customers. And then if it's performing better, we will scale it up. This strategy to be able to iteratively test your new tool, new ML model, and be able to fail fast is critical to let you to choose the best tools in the market. We take it a few steps further. We found, okay, we are getting good lift out of this specific ML model. But the challenge, let me walk you through a very interesting example we were facing in Canadian Tire. We have this deep learning ML model, which was responsible for recommendation. At the same time, we start to take the funnel marketing approach as well. We knew the customers who has pets and they need pet food, and we know the repurchase cycle of pet food. We felt, okay, it can be a good idea to be able to target these customers in this every month with the pet offers and find out what will happen. And we just generalized that funnel marketing strategy for many different categories. We were observing a very good lift for pets and every other category we were putting through the funnel. But the question was, are we gaining or losing engagement from the customers because we are replacing the output of deep learning model? Or which funnel is doing good and which funnel is doing worse than the others or worse than the deep learning model? So we design a new framework because we have the post-purchase transactions. We can understand now if I am replacing a specific offers from the deep learning with the funnel targeting engine, is it causing a lift or I'm actually losing the sales? This is very different from our A/B testing and seeing the overall lift because every one of those campaigns showing a positive lift. This is actually show you how much you might losing for a specific funnel you're running. So having those framework and a strategy to test is very critical, and your guideline to understand what algorithm, what tool is going to work for you and your specific case. We are having different domain, and one tool can be very good for a specific domain, may not be very good for the retail domain. So I would emphasize on implementing those testing strategy to be able to guide you to choose the best tool.
And I love how narrowly you defined the approach. You focused on a specific category, on a specific type of product to follow what the customer journey is. You had objectives in mind, what it is that you were trying to test and to actually learn, and then continued optimizing and reiterating. That is an amazing use case. Thank you for sharing that, Fartash.
You're welcome.
And in general, in Canada, the pet dollars, everybody's fighting for them because
that's right.
I mean, it's such a high engagement category, but at the same time, pets eat the same thing every month, and so it's really easy to work on replenishments.
Exactly.
I love that. Limor, what are the biggest mistakes companies are making in using generative AI?
Wow. So the mistakes that I see are pretty broad in nature. And the first one that I want to share, I think many of you watching are going to have a little giggle. It's when companies are saying, you know what, we don't know what to do with AI. Our employees are just going to do whatever they want, so we're going to restrict it. And they put up firewalls and they say, you cannot access ChatGPT. And I have heard of many an employee sitting with their iPad right beside their computer or kind of on their lap here, doing their work, sending their emails, writing reports, whatever the case is, and then emailing the output to themselves. And, I definitely know there's some people giggling here because they're like, I do that. So the
Can
first
I see a show of hands in the chat of who does that and whose company prevents it?
Canadian Tire built its own chat GPT, which we were calling it Chat CTC, but it was challenging because getting new updates and iteration and new ML models has become challenging when you are isolating it.
Well, it's iterating so quickly that, companies that are doing it on their own are spending a ton of money, and that might be the right strategy for them, and that's totally fine. But I would say, so the first challenge or mistake is saying, I'm just going to put a noose around and not let people use it. And then I would say the next step is not actually creating any formal training, any formal education, any formal way of using it that's now in alignment across people. So the evolution of ChatGPT and AI and generative AI coming into our workforce is as big, if not bigger, as when PCs were first introduced. So imagine now you come into work and you've been working only with paper, and all of a sudden everyone's got a $5,000 hunk of metal on their desk, and they're looking at like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. And yet the company says, oh no, just kind of ignore those, or we don't want to invest too much on teaching you how to actually use this PC. So right now in many companies, employees are kind of running wild. They're just doing whatever they want, using it however they want. There's different levels of knowledge and education because some people are self-starters and some are more tech savvy and some are kind of keeping back. But I would say that the opportunity on that is to embrace it and to say it's going to be used. So let's just teach our employees how to do that. Let's get everybody on the same page. Let's start building tools to make our jobs and our functions easier. Let's start to share those tools between ourselves, and let's start to leapfrog our competition by really, truly embracing AI for business, for work, for ourselves, and for our own development. I mean, one of the things that people are really focused on within organizations is, of course, the output for customers like loyalty, but also the input of the employees. So AI with development can be absolutely huge. So people stick around and can then help create better programs for customers. But, don't ignore it. Don't try to shove it under the desk because that is not going to work.
Imagine a world where Sian, Limor, Fartash, and I are in the same company and we're able to pool our knowledge and our outputs and our models together instead of every single one of us recreating something from scratch, but rather than building on top of what our team has already done from around the organization, from potentially across the world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sean, I have another dream question for you. Let's pause and put our kind of magical thinking hats on. So what's the future of AI, ML, and generative AI? Where's it going?
This is a really scary question, right? Because to Limor's earlier point, it is iterating so fast and new tools are coming out all of the time. And I think we're in the middle of a revolution, and if you told everyone during the Industrial Revolution that in 2024 we'd have electric vehicles that you could charge on the street, they would have said, no, you're insane. So I think, not to repeat what Limor has just said, but it really resonates with me. AI is not going anywhere. I think the most important thing that brands can do in terms of loyalty in the near future is learn to work with it and learn to work with it well. I like, some of the tools, naming conventions in terms of Copilot. Like, if we can use it as a teammate and use it to level up and streamline and increase operational efficiency and do all of the things that Limor and Fartash have already mentioned, I think from a loyalty perspective, embracing the advancements that come with AI on a daily basis, it's more personalized, more secure, more transparent reward schemes that are infinitely more engaging to customers. It's driving that engagement, it's fostering that emotive loyalty, and what it's really doing is delivering that palpable value to brands, but specifically to customers. And I saw Forbes had a quote, which is, AI is a tool, right? It's not an answer to everything. It's not God. It can't be used effectively without the right human oversight. So I think for me, the near future of AI is really just getting to grips with it, learning to work with it, and to Limor's earlier point, not getting left behind, because that's when advancement stops, innovation stops, and competitors who are doing it take over.
I love that. Do Limor or Fartash want to weigh in on what's the future?
Well, what I think Limor said that when we were chatting before the meeting is this generative AI is like electricity, and I really believe in that. This comes to revolutionize the world. Different people are going to take this electricity and start using it in a different way. You're going to build machines, you're going to build tools with the power of this electricity to make life better, to create more values. That is my perspective about the futures, but it is important to be focused. When this glue, this electricity exists, all of those equipment has their own architecture. They have their own multi-ML models, which can be utilized different type of contexts. Where we're going to be in very good place when you trust your chat GPT to actually purchase your next trip ticket, and you make sure that's find you the best ticket possible without any doubt. To be able to get there, those multi-ML models going to be very critical to focus on. And the next thing, I'm just going to put the keywords for everyone interested to search about it. It's LangChain, which enable us to connect these different components together and create the ground truth, and don't let this ML model hallucinate. Or for the domain which ethic is important. We are talking about medical domain, which whenever we want to summarize a specific context and text, we don't want to miss critical information. Those LangChain processes can help us to design tests to make sure the information we are looking for is there and the models are not hallucinating.
Thank you. That's very, very important component. We certainly don't want any false information or hallucination.
Exactly.
That's scary. And Limor?
Yeah, I'll just add that AI is evolving really quickly. And what we can do now versus 6 months or a year ago is absolutely transformative. And where we're going to be in a year from now, we're going to be looking and saying, hey, we had this session with Leah in June of 2024. That stuff's all obsolete already. So what that means for us as humans and people who do not evolve as quickly as technology does is to realize what that evolution looks like, and knowing that it kind of starts with, hey, there's this cool thing that can be done, and then transition into, well, am I cheating? Am I doing this wrong? And I think someone said cheating in one of the words, word arts that showed up here, to embracing and saying, okay, this might be a huge technology. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to learn it. My company's going to embrace it. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to be at a place where I'm proud to use AI because my output is so much better. And now I'm embracing the transition of technology and where it's going in the future, because it's going quickly. And those who really embrace it, the companies that are educating their employees on how to use it, how to make the most of it, are going to be the first movers on exponential compounding growth that they can't even identify at this point in time. So the future is going to change very quickly. And the most important thing I think we can do is learn how to adapt, learn how to be open-minded, embrace it, and just ride it out, because there's going to be some really significant wins for those who do.
Awesome. So before we take questions, one or two last parting thoughts or pieces of advice to our audience on how to take their AI, ML, generative AI usage to the next level in terms of driving specifically for loyalty. Who wants to take that first?
Well, I think everyone brought up a very important point. What I'm just going to emphasize again, have the framework for testing, understanding your customers. What is your objective and what you are trying to achieve? Sometimes in loyalty, we kind of mixing up so many things. Sometimes our objective to drive sales. Sometimes in a pet specifically is to take the market share. We are willing to give away a little bit of money to make sure customers purchasing from Canadian Tire, and you're looking at heart response. You're not looking to drive sales specifically. I'm talking about your ROI, not specifically sales, but identifying that objective and designing the ML model to achieve that is very important. Many times comes up in Canadian Tire, which I was saying, I'm not designing the ML model to drive sales. This is the loyalty program. I'm going after engagement. I'm trying to find the best customers and create the best customer experience. And interesting enough, sales followed
For sure.
the same pattern. When you are engaging and bringing back customers with continuously year over year increased number of heart responses, increased number of customers who were engaged with this program. And that kind of ultimately reached to the point they have a healthy sales, and it's become one of the very powerful marketing tools for Canadian Tire at the end. So that is my way of thinking about kind of identifying your objective before even starting what kind of ML models or tools you're going to use.
Here, here, absolutely correct. Limor, Sean, who wants to go next?
Sure. I'll just say, you know, if you're wanting to use, and hopefully you are, some level AI for outward producing customer experience programs, make sure you're first looking inward and you're not just having a little AI department run everything for externally and everyone inside can't even access any sort of AI internally. So a little bit more congruence and recognizing that, again, linking arms across your entire internal base, your staff, having them be able to use AI is going to produce a far better experience. And it also almost acts a little bit as your testing pool. So if you can acknowledge, create more joy, more personalization, better experience internally, you're going to absolutely win when you're doing that outside in the marketplace.
Amazing. And then last but not least, Sean, any thoughts? Parting thoughts or advice? Oh, sorry, you're cutting out. Okay. You're cutting out. You're cutting out. No, it's sounding a little garbled. I'm sorry. No. Okay, we may have to skip it for now. 1 second. We'll come back. In any case, if anybody has questions, please feel free to type them in LinkedIn. So far, I've seen a whole bunch of people say hello earlier. We've had a question from Jerry. Why are we loyal to one brand over another is what AI will unlock. Today, we act predictably, but lack knowledge of triggers. Okay. Data protection is extremely important to organizations. Very true. Sean, do you want to try again to see if we can hear you better? No. No, sorry. Okay. Any questions from any of the recipients? Sorry, any from the attendees? I'm seeing nothing currently in the chat other than a lot of hellos, which is great. I have also updated the QR code on the left-hand side. In addition to the AI hacks guide, which was our gift to you, I'm also giving away 5 free 1-hour consultations if you are interested in chatting about personalization or AI or how you can leverage any of the tools that we talked about from a loyalty and driving engagement perspective. I'm happy to chat. But are there any other questions that we can answer? Because I think I've been asking all of the questions. I'm not seeing anything come through. Shout up and down at me if I'm missing something. Interesting content, thank you. Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Well, Leah, I just want to thank you for hosting this amazing webinar, for putting this together. It's a field where people have more questions than answers, and appropriately so. And I think this is of tremendous value. So, you know,
my pleasure. Okay, I have questions. What reason would a loyalty member have to be stoked about AI in loyalty programs? Who wants to take that?
Can you repeat the question, Leah? I'm not sure if I...
From Sri, what reason would a loyalty member have to be stoked about AI in loyalty programs?
Well, it is about creating value. What we are trying to do here is create value, and AI is that tool which help us to understand the customer's patterns in a better way and provide. Sometimes the app asks you, do you want me to have access to your search query? And I'm one of those people who says, yes, of course. I want everything I'm getting is become more relevant to me. And what AI is going to do is just going to make them more accurate and more precise and more useful toward me. And that's what I'm looking for, right? And that's what I think why everyone should be very happy about it.
My personal take is that it should be transparent to the loyalty member. They should not know it exists. They should not. So in my experience, personalization, if done right, should be seamless. If only we get it wrong is when they should actually experience it. And hopefully you are getting it more right than wrong. So there's no benefit other than things are going smoothly. Question from Vishvendra. What are the core engagement strategies that drive engagement through AI? Are there any pointers?
Read it one more time, Leah.
What are the core engagement strategies that drive engagement through AI? Are there any pointers?
It's a very generic question, I would say. But in terms of what ML we are using to understand the customer pattern, I will answer that in context of Canadian Tire and the loyalty program we ran, right? It is to find the next best action for the customers and what kind of offers they will engage more with them. If I can understand that and provide you with the right offers, I will bring you to the Canadian Tire, and then I will try to increase your basket size with a different strategy. In terms of algorithm, there are ALS, weighted ALS, deep learning model, and now even because generative AI and the LLM models are very good to identify the similarity, and that is the role of recommendation engine to find the similar people together. There are articles and approach to be able to find out how we can use LLM to build the personalization tool based on that. So these are the few components. If you are interested to learn about those technology, I kind of shared the names, but from Canadian Tire perspective, I kind of told you what kind of, how we are using them to engage the customers as well.
Awesome. Eduardo says it's a great discussion. Mohammed says very thoughtful discussion. Thank you all. Sakeb is saying great session. I think another point organizations need to get their heads around is that AI and loyalty is not a selling point to customers. It's an enablement to driving engagement. 100%.
Exactly.
Question from Jerry. Do we see growth in AI that is merely a use of data analytics like Power BI, or do we see more true innovation in system design? I think that's a good question, I think, from Limor.
Yeah, I think it really comes back to how you're using it. So if your main goal, and again, assuming you've got like a private, like Canadian Tire that has created their own, or maybe you've got the Teams version or a version that's a safe place for you to put your data. If all you're doing is taking your data and putting it in, AI is really good at just analyzing data. It can identify trends for you. You can ask it, to create recommendations and next steps. But if that's where you're guiding it, that's where you're going to go. And that's where that's the direction you're heading. If your focus is, hey, this is our program right now, what could this program look like in a year from now if we use the capabilities of AI that I haven't even considered? Because again, you have to realize, even though it's not a human, it has human problem solving capabilities, and you can direct it to think even more creatively than you can. But you have to direct it there. And if you're asking it, hey, this is our specific goal. So as Fartash said, it's sales or engagement, or it's retaining market share, or getting more market share or more share of our customers' wallets. What ideas would you come up with? It can actually create things, and then you ask it to teach you how to do it. So that's one of the things that we do in our kind of AI for work programs, is we're really focused on AI is more creative. And if we're directing it the right way, it can think even bigger than we can. But then you can then turn it around and say, okay, well, teach me how to do this in my program and enable my loyalty to increase even further. So remember, AI is here, but you're still the boss.
100%. Okay, last question from Borak. Is chat, and this is a really good one, is ChatGPT trustworthy in case of data protection? How does it provide complete security for companies? Excellent question. I'm seeing a lot more chats about data privacy and security. Sean, do you want to try to take that one? I don't know if we can hear you. Let's try it. Nope.
Do you want me to jump in, Leah?
Yeah, go ahead, Limor.
So with regards to ChatGPT, OpenAI, if you're using the free account, anything that you upload, anything you include is there for the taking. Then one step up is the Teams account, which is supposed to be, to the best of my understanding, any data that you put in is not shared back out into the OpenAI community database memory other than just your own. But then they also have the enterprise-wide account, and I believe those are very high ticket, but they enable any data that's included, anything that's uploaded is then intended to be secure. Now, there are a lot of companies, exactly how Fartash was saying, Canadian Tire, they have Chat CTC, which I think is a cute little name. I love that you guys selected that, to ensure that privacy is at the utmost level and they're at the forefront for you. So, I would just be really mindful when you're, for the sake of loyalty, for the sake of business practices, inserting your customers' private data. Just really do your best to ensure that what you're loading is something that's either in a safe environment or something that can be shared more publicly. So, I mean, if let's say your PR department wants ChatGPT to edit the press release of some big news that's happening in a few weeks, that's something I wouldn't suggest uploading, because we don't actually know where that's going to go or what the implications are. If you're just kind of doing it at a free account, back to some of the mistakes that companies are making, just kind of enabling people to do it on their own, on their iPad on the side. So there definitely are different levels of privacy and security. And for you as an individual or you as an organization, just to be mindful of what you're putting in there and what level of security you have around what you're uploading.
Thank you so much, Limor. That's a really great breakdown of the different levels of security, and we absolutely have to be mindful of our role as trustworthy keepers of customer information, customer data, and the big bad word of data and customer data breach is truly scary to all of us that have hands in so much wealth of information, because it is so valuable. So great question and really great answer. With that, I want to thank all of my panelists who were exceptional. I know nobody else can hear the sound of applause, so I'm just going to do it for you. Thank you so much to Fartash, to Sean, and to Limor for joining me. I really enjoyed having our discussion. For everybody else, I will be the session has been recorded. I will be sharing the video as much as I can, but it is always going to be available in this event on LinkedIn if you ever want to rewatch it again. And stay tuned for more from Radicle Loyalty. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.